Okay, look, guys, we're sorry. We made a little bit of a whoopsie. We made a whoopsie poopsie, but don't worry, we turned it into a little bit of a tootsie. Oh, man. It just hits different when you're drinking coffee.
Yeah. I feel so chill right now.
I feel like I'm not drunk. Wow.
I feel a little groggy and like tired.
I know. As soon as you opened up the FaceTime, I was like, oh, she just got out of bed. Yeah, that just happened.
Yeah. I have a bad habit of just like rolling out of bed and going about my day and not like brushing my hair at least. And
same.
I forget
but
how bad I look.
Yeah, it's okay. People have actually commented and told me like, oh, you actually look like shit. And I'm like, you know what? That's just how it is. Yep.
Yikes.
People suck.
Rude.
Do you suck? Welcome to Morning Talks with the Red Wine Podcast. The podcast where we talk about murder, mysteries, and mishaps. This is your morning mishap, Kristen. Hi. Still waking up a little bit.
Me too. This is Sara, your other still waking up mishap.
We say it's like noon.
Yeah. I mean, it is about 11:30 my time, and I don't do a whole lot, before noon. So here we are.
I had a nice little movie nap. I'm watching the Twilight series right now. It's going great.
Ooh, hell yeah. I think I'm going to do that today or maybe tomorrow.
Yeah, it's much needed. But yes, so sorry for the late post.
Yes.
It was not intended. We did everything right except for the part where we maybe just had one too many glasses. Yeah. Just one glass over. We just had one glass of wine too many, and we accidentally saved it a little funky.
Yeah, so half of my audio ended up disappearing. So I don't know what drunk Sara did, y'all, but here we are recording again.
Hey, it happens. Life is what you make it, so let's make it right.
Let's make it less shitty. I don't know.
Let's make it less shitty with more coffee. Gosh, this one's up Wednesday. Next one will be on Friday, so stay tuned. Sorry about that. You're still getting two though, so thank you. Sorry we fucked up, but here you're still getting it, so
semi-consistent.
Semi-consistency is all we ask for in this. So today's story, we're back. Hi, UK. I could not stay away. I was scrolling through the news and I came across this article and holy jamalama, I read it and I was like, okay, I'm going to talk about it. Ooh. It happened fairly recently, like right as COVID restrictions were lightening up in 2020.
Wow,
so
we love a recent story.
Yes, very, very recent and kind of disturbing to hear with how recent it is, how it was handled.
Yeah, and you mentioned COVID and it being so recent. You know how a lot of like TV shows have now adapted, like when COVID and lockdown was going on, some of the TV shows, like people were wearing masks and acting like there was a pandemic in the TV show. It just like makes it so much more real sometimes when it goes into like not the media, but like TV,
just like every
movies and also real life
happenings.
I
say everyday life, but it's like literally just like everyday life, like from the TV that you watch to everything around you, like has some kind of reminder that COVID has been a thing.
Hearing like a true crime story where it mentions COVID, it just really puts it into perspective on one, how recent it happened, and two, just like it brings it a little more just reality, I think.
Yeah. It's definitely easier to talk about cases that happened forever ago because we lose the sense of time, or they're like talking about a landline and we're like, oh, we don't know what that is. But yeah, it's just disturbing to see that like shit like this is still happening to this day, and it really brings it home for the emotion game. So grab a glass. We have coffee this morning because we are not we don't have problems as much as people maybe think we do. We're semi-normal, so we're doing coffee this morning. But yeah, for today, we are talking about the murders of Biba Henry and Nicole Smallman, otherwise known as the Wembley Park Murders.
Oh. Wembley.
So grab
That
Wembley.
is one term I am aware of, like name from the area. Just because there's so many things called Wembley.
Oh, yeah. No, I tried to act British, but no.
Hello.
That accent, I will never be able to pull off a Lindsay Lohan. It's never going to happen. I would be the worst one of all.
Fish and chips.
Pip, pip, cheerio. All of our UK. Everyone signed off.
I love the English, UK and surrounding, like Scottish. I love all those accents, so I am in no way making fun of y'all. I just wish I had one, okay?
Love the accents and love that they drink just as heavily as we do, if not heavier.
Oh, I'm like,
appreciate you.
I'm not terrible.
We're hey, someone is always drinking more.
Yeah, that's a great way to look at it. Semi-great.
That's a great way. That's a great mind cream. It's a great way to yeah, so anyways, fuck guys, sorry. So the day had actually started off as one of a celebration. It was Biba Henry's 46th birthday, and with COVID-19 restrictions just barely lifting in the UK area, they wanted to get a small gathering outside on June 5th of 2020. So, of course, her half-sister, 27-year-old Nicole Smallman, wanted to go out and celebrate and gather with all of their friends. And one of their friends, Nina Asmat, who had actually been friends with Biba since they were like 16, had commented saying like it was such a beautiful evening, there was an amazing view, there was an amazing sunset, and they were taking pictures of it all night. So you could actually see the photos of the sunset that they were looking at and the view of the picnic table, and like it looked like a great, like if we were to go out and have a picnic, like that's us.
Yeah. Is it like on their Facebooks?
I don't know if it's on their Facebooks, but definitely if you just Google like Biba Henry and Nicole Smallman, yeah, you'll definitely see. I know in the research or in the investigation, it listed that they had like over 150 photos that they had taken that night of just that night and every, like all the events that took place then. So
it was a vibe, obviously.
Yes, such a vibe. The picnic area was decorated with blankets and cushions. It reminds me of when we went to Float Fest and we camped.
Yeah.
And we just like had that little tent set up.
Homey.
Yeah, it's just it's something that I could see us doing, and that's why it's just man, and they were there because they were following the rules. Okay, they're not like some these other people who we will not name that are like going and throwing major house parties. Like they were only allowed to do small gatherings outside, so they wanted to make sure that they were following the rules, so they got a small gathering outside in like the local picnic area at the park, and they were just having a good time doing what you should as a human being, like just enjoy life. So there were food and drink there, obviously, music and laughter. You could see the fairy lights that they brought in some of the pictures, and I'll obviously post some of them on our socials. But
fairy
you just
lights, like this is so us.
They're like playing with it and making like cool photo effects. It's just it makes you smile to see that, but then it just takes such a tragic turn, and I'm just like, why? So as the night progressed and their friends wanted to go, Biba and Nicole decided, like, no, we're having way too much fun. We want to stay. We want to continue partying. Like, we have each other. We'll be good. So it was actually around 1:05 a.m. that everyone was gathering their things. And I think I had said they got there around like 7 p.m. I think I had read. So they had been there for quite some time just partying and celebrating.
Like 1 a.m. is pretty late.
Yeah.
And it's not like a camp. They weren't camping, right? They were just hanging out.
No, it was like a park with neighborhoods around it, kind of seemed. Like I didn't look at a photo of the area, but just from how it was described, like houses were pretty close to where they were. So it seemed like you could just walk home from there. But I know, like Adam's boyfriend, Nicole, so he wasn't at the party, but he had given Nicole...
You said Adam's boyfriend, Nicole.
Oh, sorry. Nicole's boyfriend, Adam. Thank you. So Nicole had a boyfriend, Adam Stone, and he wasn't at the party, but he had like given her money for a cab. So I guess she was driving distance, but regardless, it was like a fairly public area. I don't think you could camp the night there regardless. So it was like 1:05 a.m. The girls were like, no, we want to stay a little bit longer. And the friends were like, okay, no worries. We'll let you go. And they described, like, as they were saying goodbye, that they could see the girls just continue to dance and play around with the camera and lights, just taking photos and laughing. One of the last texts that Nicole had actually sent to her boyfriend was describing how she was dancing in a field.
Oh, it's like beautiful and creepy.
Beautiful and just, it really breaks my heart.
Just like when you find out what happens, like it's just sad and beautiful
because
and creepy
that's
at the same time.
I can't stop saying it. That's a night that we have had countless times.
Yes.
So many times we have had a night exactly like that. It was actually taking these photos that the girls would take the last photo, like unknowingly take their last photo together. So the photo was timestamped at 1:13 a.m. So 8 minutes or after the friends left. 8 minutes.
Holy crap.
Yeah. So in that photo, it would be described that they would appear distracted, and some believe that that was when they realized that their attacker was approaching them.
Oh.
So the sisters would fail to answer any of the calls that would be made to them around 2:30 a.m., just kind of like checking to see if they had gotten home safely. But obviously it's 2:30 a.m. The girls were with each other, like they were last seen together, and obviously they're sisters. They're going to make sure that they get home safely. So it was it's easily assumed that, hey, they went to one another's place, they fell asleep, like it's nothing to be worried about. We can go to sleep and they'll answer our texts in the morning.
Yeah.
But the following day, Adam Stone, Nicole's boyfriend, would start to raise the alarm when he couldn't get a hold of either one of the sisters. So he would try pinging Nicole's phone through a phone finding app. He would go through her bank account statements to see her latest charges, which, like, this guy did the absolute most. He would even go to contact Nicole's flatmate, and she would confirm that no, Nicole Smallman had not returned to the flat, and this is when he really starts to panic. He would even go over to Miss Henry's apartment and bang on the door. I guess, I know that she had a daughter, but I think the daughter may have been grown, so she had possibly lived alone. And was just like begging for someone to answer and say, like, no, we were just falling asleep, or we just slept in late, like no problem.
Both here,
and silence, like no one came to the door. And everyone he contacted, everyone he asked, no one had seen or heard from them. It really just seemed like these girls had up and vanished.
Oh.
So this would continue to go on until June 7th at around 1 p.m. Adam Stone, along with his mom and dad and the childhood friend of Biba's, Nina Esmat, had finally had enough. They said, that's it. We can't take it anymore. We need to go to the park and we need to find out like what is going on. Do a deep search. I think they had already kind of like walked through and hadn't really seen anything. So they decided to go back and like, we're going to look through every bush, every corner until we find what happened.
Oh my gosh.
So the concern would only grow, and by June 7th at around 1 p.m., Adam Stone, along with his parents and the childhood friend Nina Esmat, finally decided, like, enough is enough. We need to do a deep search of this park. I believe that they may have, like, walked through it before, but they were like, no, we need to go to the Friant Country Park where these girls were last seen in Wembley and search every nook and cranny until we find something that could give us some kind of story as to what happened.
Yeah, any kind of clues or anything.
Anything. So once they were in the park, everyone decided to separate and they began shouting and looking in the bushes. It was walking along this path or in the park that Miss Esmat would find a pair of sunglasses that looked exactly like Biba Henry's. And she said that as soon as she saw them glinting in the sun, that her heart had sank and she just knew that there was no way she could have left these behind, like on purpose. That just wasn't in her character. She would call the local police station. And I'm sorry. This is where I start to get mad.
Okay.
It's upsetting how this case was handled. So,
by the metro, what do they call it?
So I'll go into more detail later, but just bookmark this little tidbit for now. They told her, you need to pick the sunglasses up and you need to drive to the police station and turn them in.
Okay. I guess they don't go by the whole motto of don't disturb or taint evidence.
Yeah, I guess not. I guess they didn't really care that these girls were missing because I was going to say it later, but I'll just say it now. When they went to the police station to report these girls missing, the cops did the whole, oh, no.
They're adults.
They looked at their age. They looked at who they were. And they were like, they'll come back. Don't worry about it. So, like, they didn't do shit. So when they said, like, hey, we found these sunglasses and we're saying that they're missing.
I'm sorry, you said they were BBs?
They were Bibas.
Betty's?
Yeah.
Bibas. Cool, because I just looked back at one of the pictures you sent me and she's literally wearing the sunglasses in this photo.
Yeah. It's so sad to look at, like, because you can see all of the detail in the evidence and it's... Oh. So after going to the cops and saying, hey, we have someone that's missing, I found their sunglasses, they said, oh, pick them up and just take them to the station. No problemo. Like,
it doesn't sound right.
It doesn't because it's not right, but it's whatever. Like, but I can't say anything else because this story doesn't change. So as Matt would make her way down to the station, Adam and his parents decided, we are finding evidence. We are going to continue to search. Like, we need to see what else we can find. It was from there that they would walk a little bit further and Adam would find another pair of sunglasses. And this one belonged to Nicole's. And it was described when they found these sunglasses, and like there was a photo of their wallets that were later found. Like, these items are completely mangled, muddy, like just destroyed. It's not like someone had gently forgotten. It's not like someone had forgotten these sunglasses or they just like naturally fell off their head. Like it was intentional. It was brutal. Like someone violently destroyed these items.
Something definitely happened there.
As soon as he saw this, he knew. He was like, I'm not gonna touch them. I know that this is a crime scene. Like, something sinister is happening. Something is going on.
Good for him. Dude, Adam deserves a freaking round of applause and kudos for his behavior.
Yeah. He did everything he did everything right and was failed so miserably by our system. And it's just so upsetting. This whole family was just completely let down, and it shouldn't have happened this way.
Yeah.
While this was happening, Adam's father would look over and find an actual freaking knife on the ground. And Adam said that the second that he saw the knife, he started running and he dialed 999 immediately. It was while he was on the phone at night with 999 that he spotted some shoes in the undergrowth and sprinted over to the bushes. And it was in those bushes that he would find the entangled and lifeless bodies of Nicole Smallman and her sister Biba Henry.
Oh my God. How far from their picnic area were they found?
I didn't really look, but reading how what am I trying to say? Reading how the cops described like how the night happened, it really seems like this dude just fucking killed him, found the nearest bush, and threw him there. So I didn't really do a lot of research in the sense of like looking up the park and like trying to see photos. I don't know. I saw the photos that I did see just got me in such a mood. I didn't want to like further go into it, but it seems like they were fairly close. It would have taken the cops a drive to the park when these girls were reported missing for them to find it. But instead, these fucking cowards, for whatever reason, were like, no, they're not gone. You're worried for nothing. We know because we're not the family, but we know. And then now their boyfriend, Adam, now
leave it up to the poor fucking family
to find them, to find these girls.
And find and recover the girls.
It's
women, sorry.
So disgusting. It's so horrifying that like so are we gonna get a huge chunk of this police commission now that we're doing your jobs for you? Like what the actual fuck is going on? It would be described that their eyes had been left open and that you could just see these stab wounds all around their body. In total, Biba Henry had been stabbed 8 times and Nicole Smallman a total of 28. So it was a brutal, brutal scene. Adam would say that as soon as he saw their bodies, he would just drop on his knees and scream.
I don't even know if I'd be able to scream.
To even get up and function.
Yeah, like, do you ever have those dreams where you try to talk or you try to yell or you try to scream and like, nothing comes out?
Yeah.
I feel like that's how I would be. Like, just, like, numb and paralyzed.
Yeah. His mother, so as soon as Adam got down and screamed, like, of course his parents would rush over, but he would, like, get up and tell them, like, don't, like, you do not want to see this, please, like, just get on the phone with 999 and just tell them to get here immediately. But his mother, like, describing that moment, said it seemed like the world had just completely stopped, which I can't imagine.
That gave me chills.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking. Adam would have to be the one to call everyone in the family and say that Biba and Nicole had died. As Matt was at the police station because she had to go give them the sunglasses, and she would say that like the police were getting like dogs, I guess like cadaver dogs brought in, and so she was seeing this rush at the police station. She saw that something was going on and she was like, oh my god, what is this, like what just happened? And then she gets the text from Adam saying like they're gone, they didn't make it. And she just like breaks down. Adam would also have to call their mother, Mina Smallman, and of saying it, he would go, Mina, we found a knife. Mina, I'm going to need you to sit down. I found them. Ugh. I found them, but they're gone.
That's so heartbreaking.
I know.
And Adam really took the load on, my god.
Adam needs all the love, all the support. Oh my gosh, my heart goes out to him. He's really stayed strong through it all, and then to be the one to have to talk to the family and like to not even let the cops do it, to him have that personal, like, so strong. a paramedic who was at the scene would later detail to the court during the trial that there was nothing that they could have done to save them, like, no matter what time they would have gotten there, you know, like,
Damn.
after this attack.
Yeah.
There was just, it was that brutal. Of this event, the mom had said that her spark of hope had been completely extinguished because, I mean, these girls had been missing for 36 hours. So of course, like, during those hours, you're praying that they're somewhere, they're alive, they may be hurt, but they're okay. And, like, you're going to find them. And she did everything that she was supposed to. And during those 36 hours, of course, she goes to the police and begs for help, says there's no way that my daughters would randomly do this. Both of them, like, they both have families, they both have lives, they both, like, they have reasons to live. Right. They wouldn't just do this. And as Mina would say, I said to the police, we don't know if there's foul play here. We have no idea. We are now 36 hours on and they haven't turned up. Of course, the cops were like, oh, they'll come back. No worries.
Oh my God.
Mina just said she instantly knew. I knew instantly why they didn't care. They didn't care because they looked at my daughter's address and they thought they knew who she was. A black woman who lives on Council Estate. It was due to the cops' lack of action that, like, Adam had to find the bodies. The family had to be tortured for as long as they did. It would have taken them going to the park as soon as they reported it, and instead you drag out this family suffering an extra day for what? And then, like, and
for what? Your own fucking. Ugh.
And it only gets worse because there is even more disrespect that happens within the investigation. Because it turns out a few days later that two Met police officers, PC Deans Jaffer and Jamie Lewis, were charged with misconduct in public office after being accused of taking selfies next to the dead bodies of these girls and sending the photos to others, including members of the public.
What the actual fuck?
Like, this family has gone through enough. You are going to fucking do that? No words. And if you are a cop and you do this, shame. You shouldn't be a cop. So disrespectful, so humiliating to the family. Shame. Nothing but shame.
Shame on not only those two officers, but everyone who should have been involved.
Yes, because so the pair were suspended, of course, at the time. I mean, like, not like it fucking helps. And they were arrested on June 22nd of 2020 and charged in April of 2021. Ooh. The charge was misconduct in a public office, and it states that each officer misconducted himself in a way which amounted to the abuse of the public's trust. Yada, yada, yada. It doesn't fucking matter. Like, they disgusting. Their lawyer would say that there's an indication to be given, and it's an indication of a guilty plea on behalf of both defendants. So I tried to see if they got time for this or anything, but the only thing I could see was unconditional bond or unconditional bail. So I know that they pleaded guilty, but I don't really know what came of it. I want to say that they are probably still on the force, but I could also be wrong. It just says that they were suspended. It doesn't say that they were let go.
Right.
Adding to this, they said that they were sorry beyond measure for the pain that they have caused, which, I mean, I guess thank you for saying sorry, but, like, fuck you.
Yeah. Fuck you.
The Independent Office for Police Conduit is also, or the IOPC, is also carrying out separate inquiries. So there is one inquiry that's going on with 6 other officers involved because there were officers within the police station that knew that this was going on, and of course they didn't fucking say anything. They let it happen. So of that, I think a total of like 13 have been told that their behavior's under review. So I'm like, oh, okay. But of that, like 13 were complete assholes. And then there's another inquiry going on, seeing how they handled the calls from relatives and friends before the discovery of the body. So like how the calls were when they were saying, hey, these girls are missing. Okay, how did these people respond? Like, why were they not helping out this poor family? Yeah. So, I mean, that's good, I guess. I really hope that something comes out of that, because that cannot happen again. And it's ridiculous that that family had to go through that. And
yeah, I mean, it sucks, but hopefully after this case, it makes some things known and some changes.
It changes, yeah. That's all you can hope for, the good that would come out of it. So, speaking to the BBC, Mina had said that the police officers are dehumanizing our children, adding to the news of the photographs took their grief to another place. She had continued that if we ever need an example of how toxic it has become, those police officers felt so safe, so untouchable, that they felt that they could take photographs of dead black girls and send them on. It speaks volumes of the ethos that runs through the Metropolitan Police, which Mina has, like, she needs to write a book, because she just has the most inspirational quotes all throughout my reading.
Those are such strong words.
She is such and I know I say what she does later on. I believe she was like the first black archdiocese that was like in the area. She's like a very smart woman. Smart.
Wow.
And I like agree to this 1,000%. If there is one thing that I did learn in college in our business courses that it teaches, it's like if your lower levels are doing it, it's because your higher ups are so okay. It's like the higher ups run the toxicness that sinks into your lower level employees.
They lead by example.
Exactly.
Whether it's positive or negative.
Exactly. So once the investigation finally fucking begins, now that it takes having 2 dead bodies being brought to them, but it finally happens, they determined that it was an act that had to be committed by a random stranger due to the fact that there was absolutely no logic behind this. It seems like they were just chosen because they were there, like no other reason. It was so senseless, nothing else to it, which is so terrifying, because that's your worst fear, but you don't ever think that that's really what's going to happen. Like, yeah.
Like, it is so random and senseless that you wouldn't ever think that it would happen to you until it does.
It's there. It's just a local resident.
All around us.
Yeah. A local resident, Martin Ridgway, had actually ended up cleaning the picnic area during the 36 hours that the girls had been missing. So I want to yell at Martin, but he had no idea. Like, he didn't know that 2 girls had just been reported missing, because the cops weren't doing anything about it. And to him, he was just doing his, like, nice duty of cleaning up the park after some people had left their trash from the night before.
Yeah.
But what is really cool about the UK, and I'm like, why don't we do that here? So they have a bin collection area where you throw your rubbish, and it was designated by the council waste disposal team. And basically you like take a picture of your trash bin and then put it on the app, and it like tracks your trash somehow. I think that's what it is. It's so weird. So with this app, they were actually able to track the bin that Ridgway had sent, and through there they went through like 40 tons of a refuse lorry. I hope I'm saying this right. But they found the cushions that matched the photos. So I know, like, I sent you one of the actual like picnics set up.
Them on the blanket.
Mm-hmm. So like the blue bag that's next to them. So they found, and it was in that blue bag where it would hold a lot of the evidence. So like this was a major break in the case. On June 2nd, they had found a large blue hold hand, and it contained a blood-stained gray blankets. It had an unopened sparkling wine bottle. It also had a selfie stick and an LED color changing lights, like the lights that they were playing with beforehand.
Yeah.
on the bloodstained cushions that were found, one of the words bearing on the cushions was, "Life isn't about waiting for the storm to pass. It's about learning how to dance in the rain."
Oh my God. My whole body is covered in goosebumps.
3 more cushions would be found. One included an animal print, and the gray picnic blanket that the sisters had been sitting on was later tested, and they did find a DNA profile on it. And
a foreign one?
Yes. And
Ooh.
The knife that was also found at the crime scene had blood from Smallman and that same unmatched DNA profile.
Okay.
They would also find this profile on Nicole's right boot, as well as Biba's left trainer and right ankle area of her leggings. And it was believed that the reason that this DNA got there was because during the attack, the assailant would end up cutting their hand because obviously, like, the blood gets so slick and then you slice your hand
Yeah, it's super common.
Yeah, and I did send a photo of, because he ends up going to the hospital later to get stitches, but of course, like, no crime has been reported of this, so the hospitals aren't looking for anything, and yeah, so he ends up going to the hospital and getting it sewn, but it's like almost his whole entire thumb looks like it nearly got severed. It's like
Ooh.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like he cut it pretty deep.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So it would take nearly a month, but thankfully they were able to find a hit on this DNA through familial link, making it it's so fucking cool how we can, like, do this now. But
cool and kind of fucked up.
Yeah, I'm like, sorry, Theodore, I gave my ancestry DNA, so you can't ever do anything bad in life because your DNA is out there. But it made it like 1 billion times more likely that it would be this person's son. So they determined that it was like the father of this person and it would be his son that they were looking for. So it was 1 billion times more likely that it was him more than anyone else. And so I couldn't find out what citation the father had, but either way, that's like why he had a citation in the past, and that's why he had to give his DNA. So that's why the dad's DNA was in the system. Yeah. But they would get a name, and it would turn out that their murderer that they were looking for was named Daniel Hussein. So Hussein came from a Iraqi Kurdish heritage, and he had a long-standing interest with anything occult, mythology, or like Satan related.
Ooh, okay.
So the police would describe the Hussein family as fairly unremarkable.
Okay.
Which I'm now naming all my ex-boyfriends. Fairly Unremarkable 1, Fairly Unremarkable 2, Fairly Unremarkable 3. So at the time of the murders, he was actually staying with his father, I believe, at his grandmother's house, which was a short walk away from the Friant Country Park where the stabbings had took place. So that's what I mean by, like, there were neighborhoods around kind of deal. So his school friends would describe him as strange sometimes and also strange around women, like an awkward teenager. But they really didn't describe anything that would indicate that he was a freaking murderer. He just seemed like a really awkward dude. So his parents would end up splitting up, and his mother would actually bring Hussein and his 2 younger siblings into Ethlem, South London. And I did not write it. I'll talk about it a little bit later on, but he was on the spectrum. So I do believe he was diagnosed with Asperger's.
Okay.
Or no, he was on the spectrum. He was diagnosed with Asperger's when he was younger. After leaving the Thomas Tallis School in Kidbrooke, Hussein was actually meant to go on to study for the BTEC qualifications at Orpington College, but like a lot of people, he only went to about 3 or 4 classes and he's like, no, this is good, and then he dropped out. So I mean, I feel that, but nevertheless, after the killings, he was actually planning to go to the US to work at a children's summer camp.
Oh.
No. Application denied, sir. What the actual... Where do you go? Where do you get children's summer camp? Out of all the things.
That's scary.
Terrifying. While he did go to school, so he was 18 at the time of the attacks, so he... Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he was very, very young. So Hussein had actually been diagnosed with Asperger's, so he was on the spectrum while he was at school. And after his arrest, he would actually be seen 4 or 5 times by mental health specialists, but they couldn't find anything to indicate that he was delusional, because obviously if you have like Asperger's or autism, you're not delusional, you just you're more...
And it varies so widely of people's abilities to do certain things or not understand certain things, and many times they are completely capable of understanding and carrying out like quote unquote normal lives.
Yeah, it depending on like how far they are on the spectrum, they can completely live totally normal lives. And it's not to say at all that just because you have autism or just because you have schizophrenia, it doesn't mean that you're going to go out and attack someone. So it's...
Yeah.
They couldn't find anything else to, I guess, further say he had something mentally to go on to say that he was delusional at the time of the murders.
Right, so he wasn't like considered mentally ill.
No, he just was a dude with autism who happened to commit a crime. Or he had a Asperger's, I believe. That's what he actually like goes on to tell the cops. Is like, oh, I have Asperger's, when they ask like, why'd you do it? But I'm like, that's not an excuse.
Yeah.
So before the murders, he had actually been referred to a de-radicalization scheme in October of 2017. So they have these things called channel programs in the UK, and basically what it is it's a voluntary multi-agency safeguard program, and this basically gives support to people who are vulnerable to radicalization. So if you look on their website, like one of the examples they use is like someone's on a college campus handing out pamphlets that spread like violence or homophobic hate or something like that. You can be like, oh, Charlie's acting a little cuckoo. He's acting a little radicalized. I think that he should go into this program. And then they basically try to like deprogram your
like
radical beliefs. Yeah. So he basically got referred into the program after he was caught looking at far-right material and Norse mythology. So, like, I know sometimes when you're on the autism spectrum, typically from what I've seen, they like to have a area of topic, like one topic that they really focus on. They really...
a niche of
a niche of choice, if you will. So, like, for him, I would assume, since he was so in the realm of the mythology and Satanism, like that was just his niche for whatever reason. But I couldn't really get a lot on his family life, so I have no idea like what drove him to that exactly. Yeah. Like what the reason for that was. But either way, obviously this channel program did not work. He would be discharged in 2018, but just 7 months later, they would take him back. And he would spend, I think, 6 months there, and then they would release him, and then they took him back another 6 months later. So he was there like a total of 3 times.
Jeez.
Yeah, and none of those times worked. Obviously. I don't know. That's why it's just like, I want to believe in programs like that, but I don't.
Sounds like maybe it needs some altering.
Yeah, it maybe a little bit. So the police would first visit Hussein's father's house in Kingsbury, North London, and obviously this is the place that was not far from Friant Country Park. And they arrived around midnight. They were told that he was actually at another address. The dad was like, no, he is with his mom. So they drove over to the mom's house in Ethlem, Southeast London, and they got there by 12:55 a.m. So after that, police would raid his house, and they would discover a freaking House of Horrors. So it would have a book of spells. They would have handwritten demon symbols. And they found 2 blood packs. Now...
Like in his room or like just around the house?
In his room. So, okay. I mean, I say a house of horrors. It's like a room of horrors, and it's just like a room of paper horrors, but it's just like people, I just couldn't imagine, like, yes, I wonder what my son's doing behind that closed door. Oh, he's making fucking pacts with the demon. I'm like, no, that's not...
Like, you're smoking weed? Okay, that's fine.
Yeah,
no freaking devil packs.
Son, put down the Ouija board, pick up the fucking bong. I can't. How many times do I have to say this? Do you need some of my weed? God. So, one of the blood packs was actually made out to a demon queen, Blythe.
Oh.
And he would offer his blood to her in exchange for sexual potency. And he basically wanted this so he could make
he had a small dick.
Yeah. he basically wanted this so he could make a girl at school fall in love with him, which, imagine being that girl and then finding this out. She's
probably like, I've literally never spoken to him in my life.
Go to your local priest and get blessed. I would feel so... Can't. Like, ooh. Like, emo me wished that someone was out there making a pact, but now that I'm seeing this in real life, like, watching the Twilight movies as an adult, I'm like, girl, red flag. He's been watching you sleep for months. He's been stalking you, and you say that you love him. Like, all the red, like, it's ridiculous what teen me would have. I totally would have been okay with. Now as an adult, honey, no. Oh my God, I just can't. No. It would be the second pack that truly just makes this case so horrifying, so disgusting. Like, I can't with this guy. So detectives would find a green card that was made out to a demon called King Lucifege Rofocat, this guy, Lucifege, is the Prime Minister of Hell, according to the Grand Grimoire, and Lucifer basically granted him power over all other worldly treasures, along with control of the treasury in Hell, he's an accountant, along with Mammon, which... Yeah, I don't know what Mammon is, but it's just this thing. So he's, I guess, like this all-powerful being. And he gets with this accountant demon because he makes a deal. And in this deal, he says, I will kill 6 women every 6 months so I can get the Mega Millions super jackpot, which is like 321 million pounds.
Oh my God.
And I don't want to get caught.
Well,
I'm not. He has to be delusional, because in what fucking reality do you really think that that's going to work? And you think it's going to be from like a... Have you not seen...
Well, when people believe something, they believe it, man.
Like, what the fuck? It reminds me, like... This reminds me of the same mentality of like the skinny man, the slender man stabbings.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And this was a fucking 12-year-old that did it. Like, this guy's 18. Boys really take a really long time to mature, I guess, because I can't believe. Sorry, boys that are listening. It's just this guy. So he would take his print from his right thumb and his forefinger and put it on the document in blood, as well as write his own signature in blood. So thanks for the DNA evidence.
Yeah, there we go.
It was also among his things that they would find 3 lottery tickets. So over the 10 days after these murders, he would spend like over 160 pounds on lottery tickets and bets. And because this isn't fucking real, none of them were winning numbers. Because, like, how senseless is this? Seriously?
Yeah.
Upon his arrest, he would tell the police he has Asperger's syndrome and he has trouble with his memory, and he wasn't going to say anything else.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. He would be charged with 2 counts of murder and 1 count of possessing an offensive weapon, and he would deny all charges. Like, he didn't do it.
Oh.
So Judge Justice Whipple ordered the psychiatric reports to be carried out ahead of the sentencing. I couldn't really see anything of that other than the fact that they just deemed him not delusional. They would also find CCTV footage that showed him buying a set of knives from Asta, which matched the knife that was placed there.
Oh, of course.
Days before the killings. And there would also be footage caught of him returning to his home after the killings around 4 a.m. on June 6th. So they were there June 5th, and then the killing happened like early in the morning, so past midnight, so it was June 6th technically when they were murdered. Lawyers from Hussein would say that this is not Hussein, it's a mystery man that looks like the teenager that bought the knives at the supermarket and purchased the shovel and mask from Amazon. It was an unknown person that wrote out the contract, that an unknown person came into his room with Hussein's blood and Hussein's right fingerprint and thumb with tape and, how to get away with murdered it onto the paper, dipped it in a little quill and wrote it out, and then left it in his room for the cops to find, and left it under his television in the bedroom. Yeah.
I feel like they would have had a better defense strategy if they ran with the whole memory loss thing.
Or at least the demon done did it. Like, I'm possessed. Yeah. I want to believe that more. Like, I just, like, an unknown person, really?
Someone who looks like, okay.
An unknown force. And, like, I can't.
They could have tried to pin it on the dad, and they didn't.
I would fire that lawyer, man. Like, you gotta take that degree away. You need to practice a little harder. So his father had accompanied him to the hospital after the stabbings to get his thumb stitched up, and Hussein had basically told him that he was there he had gotten the thumb injury because of a mugging. So that was his excuse for the thumb injury as well. His lawyers would also claim that the crime scene could have been contaminated, which I'm not going to lie, like it was, because of the cops' just blatant lack of wanting to fucking try to do their jobs. They didn't get there when they reported the girls missing, so that gave 36 hours for evidence to be fucked up. But it doesn't explain how the fucking blood evidence got there. Like, so they're saying this same unknown person that took the blood to sign that document went back over and put the blood on the bodies and the knife and whatnot. So it's like, it's too much for you to say that someone else did it, or this is like someone altering the crime scene to make it look like something other than what it fucking was, which was just a horrendous and unnecessary crime.
Right.
In a victim impact statement read out to the court, the sister's mother, Mina, would say no one expects their child to die before them, but to have 2 of your 3 children murdered overnight is just incomprehensible. If any good comes out of this, at least 4 women will not have to meet a similar end in a so-called pact with a so-called demon. She would also go on how to describe, the problem is that people who are supposed to be assessing and taking responsibility, there's a gap from stage to stage, so they get lost in the system. The saddest thing, if this young man does have this tendency where he does go into prison, he is going to be even more radicalized. He is a killer now. He'll be a killing machine by the time he comes out. She also described forgiving him because he has no power in our lives, and revealed that Hussein would position himself in the dock so he could stare at her and smile as they described the most gruesome of evidence.
Oh my God. Whoa, those were powerful words, but ew, Tim staring at her.
Yeah, like just even more fucking outright disrespect.
Yeah.
So he did plead guilt, or he was charged as guilty, but they haven't sentenced him yet. So the sentencing for this will take place in September of this year. So I will do my absolute best to give an update on this. I really hope he gets like fucking life in prison, because
he will do it again.
Yeah. And there's no, like, the cops were saying it, everyone was saying it. If he hadn't have cut his thumb, because it took over 36 hours for them to find the body, and like over a month to find out who he was, he would have done it again if he had not hurt his thumb, because the deal was 6 women. And he just, that he didn't care who, what, when, where, why. He was just going at it. So it's like, if any good of this came, it's those girls saving those 4 other lives that would have been lost due to this fucking senseless man, because the cops were obviously not going to do anything to stop it, and they would have had a serial killer on their hands because of it.
Yeah. Oh my God.
So obviously, as a true crime podcast, you know, we talk about some of like the worst fucking moments in human history. And thankfully with this case, it was not the reason, or it was not the case, but in most cases where we're dealing with women of color or certain races, like, you get absolutely no information on these people. Or if you are dealing with sex workers, like, just the information isn't there and they are treated as victims. But I just, like, they aren't victims. We have to know
they're humans.
They are you, they are me, they are your mother, your brother, your sister, your father, everyone around you, like, human beings. And it's really sad that sometimes it's easy to see them as just that, the victim, but they're not. They're people. So Biba Henry was a mother, a daughter, a sister, a friend, and a colleague. She would always fight for what's right and would be the voice for those who were vulnerable to society's harsh demands. She was a force of nature who lived in Brent in northwest London and was an exceptional senior social worker at Buckinghamshire Council. She was just fantastic to be around, and she had the biggest personality in the room. And she was also she was also an advocate in safeguarding at-risk children and families.
Oh.
She was a lovely woman who was both serious and fun. Her luminous love for life drew people to her like a beacon in the darkness. Before qualifying in social work, Miss Henry had a job driving around disabled children to their activities. Her baby daughter would be right beside her, and she would get her young passengers to sing along and enjoy the journey with her.
Oh.
She was a proud daughter to her father, Henry Herman, the ABA featherweight champion of 1982, who spent his who set up his own building contracting company. She was a proud daughter to her mother, Mina, who's an absolute beast of a woman, who gave her up her office work to train as a teacher and later joined the priesthood and became the Church of England's first black female archdeacon.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Yeah. She was barely 5 feet tall, yet she had the heart of a lion and a smile that would put the Blackpool Illuminations to shame. Nicole Smallman was 27 years old and shared many of the same interests, especially in the arts. She was laid back and approachable, and Nicole was also a photographer and a University of Westminster graduate and a joy to be around. In comparison to Miss Henry's blinding incandescence, Miss Smallman's personality was way more diffused, mellow, and all-encompassing. Longtime family friend Lee Ewan Ledger said, you hear about people lighting up a room when they walk in, but the description is almost too harsh for Nikki. When she walks into a room, she was like a nightlight. It was subtle, protective, warm. She was a talented artist, and she was passionate about her work in documentary making and theater. She was also a singer and an actor with a speaking voice that was so silky smooth, her teacher said she should do something in radio or TV presenting.
Aww.
She saw beauty in everything, was friendly, enthusiastic, and much loved. Calm and positive, she was a strong supporter of humanitarian and environmental causes. She was also the mother of a black bearded dragon with her partner Adam.
Aww.
And finally, I just wanted to end on one last thing that Mina Smallman said, because this girl just knows how to say words that move you.
Yeah.
Of this whole case and of everything that has happened to this family, Mina says of the loss of her children, the grief we feel is palpable. Our beautiful, talented daughter's gone. I think that the notion of all people matter is absolutely right, but that it's not true. other people have more kudos in this world than people of color. That's what gives me purpose. If their lives make a change in the way women are viewed, and of that of Black women in particular. In pecking order of things, we are lowest on the ladder. Oh. That is the fucking tragic and terrible.
Okay, can I just say that comment about Nicole being more of a nightlight? Like, that was so beautiful, and I've never heard someone described like that, and it just, like, is so touching.
Right? It's, like, say something like that about me at my funeral. Because I don't think anyone will. I'm just, like, the words that were used to describe these sisters, like,
She was like a flickering bulb.
I wish I could have met them. And, I mean, seeing the photos of them, they obviously knew how to have a good time.
Yeah.
It's just, it's so, everything about this, like, I'm glad that we were able to find justice for the family and get this killer behind bars. I hope, and I really do pray that it is for a long time. I will put any kind of petition that I can if it's not, because that is ridiculous. I know that the family is wanting to, or is like thinking of the possibility of suing the police, and to that I'd say go for it. You need to make a statement, and unfortunately the only way that these assholes typically tend to listen is money. So like fuck it, who cares? But you got to do what's best. If it's too painful, obviously you understand, but I will.
Holy crap.
Yeah, I'll do my best to update on this case and let you know the sentencing, but just all the thoughts and prayers going out to this family, and shame on anyone who tried to make this investigation not happen, and just disregard. It's 2021. We really seriously need to stop disregarding people's concerns if they go up and say, hey, I think a loved one is missing. Like,
okay, so especially when it comes to adults, specifically people of color and women of color,
and mental health,
low social status, we need to do better. When someone goes missing, we need to care. Yes,
they are fucking people, just like you, just like me. Like, we have no excuse for how how this crazy thing we call life puts us in whatever situation we're in. Like, who are you to judge and say you're lesser of a human being than me because our circumstances are different? Like, fuck out of here. We are all the same. We are all human. We all go through suffering, and you can't, like, how dare you not try to, like, invalidate someone because of their ethnicity, or like what they do for a living, or how much money they make, or it's just disgusting, and we need to stop doing that. Like, we need to help one another out. This world is already so fucked up. Like, it's the least we could do for each other, you know?
Right. God damn it.
Yeah. So yeah, that is, hope I did okay on that one. It was it's definitely a hard one to read when it's so happened not that long ago, and it's like a fucking case from the 90s, and I'm like, what the actual fuck is going on?
Yeah. Well, shit. Thank you, Kristen.
Yes, thank you, UK, man. Y'all have some interesting stories. Can't get enough of it. Hopefully you can't either. I don't know. Yeah, thank you, UK, for the inspiration. You guys are always a pleasure to visit in the true crime realm. Always got interesting crimes, man. The world is a fucked up place, unfortunately. We're all prone to it.
Yeah.
Well, cheers.
Well, on that note,
cheers to familial DNA. Thank you for becoming a thing and getting some of these monsters behind bars. We appreciate it.
Yeah. Cheers to not taking selfies with dead bodies.
Yes. No.
Just don't.
Just don't, please. And be sure to follow us if you haven't already, so you can get the 411 on what's going on our latest mishaps with our editing and recording problems.
Just daily lives.
Yeah, on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and the TikTok.
At RARW Podcast.
And yeah, have a good morning, have a good night, have a good afternoon, and